Well, you could have looked for me.
We did. Cockeye found you at the Chinks. So fucking doped up you didn't even recognize him.
Yeah, you called me Deborah.
Schweig.
Hey, go fuck yourself. Mind your own business.
We do our fucking business together, and fucking broads do not get in the way, and you know it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What's she doing here? Today ain't Saturday. She should be back in Detroit, screwed on the assembly line.
Well, she's screwing here now. And only with Max.
Oh, yeah? With the husband peeping through the keyhole?
No, I left him.
You live with her, you bring her here, and you tell me not to mess with broads.
You're forgetting about one thing.
What's that?
I don't give a fuck about her.
Max.
Shut up!
Maxie.
Shut up!
Hey, Maxie, tell me something. What are you going to spend your honeymoon on? A cat house?
Maxie,
Shut the fuck up! Shut up! Just shut up! You want me to dump her? You want me to kick her fucking ass out of here? You want to punch and tuckers, huh? You want me to kick her ass out or what? You want me to kick? Get the fuck out! Get the fuck out! Get out! You gonna tell me I don't have a way with women?
Well, folks, this is the best show on Blog Talk and the best show on the internet. Shut up! Nobody, and I mean nobody, tackles issues like inflammatory talk. Shut up! And Mr. Midnight Movie. Shut up! And Jewish producer. Hello, son. Shut up! We tackle the things that nobody tackles. Hello, son. The man's answer. Hello, son. Stop walking on eggshells. Shut up. Hello, son. Goofy Bone can get off his bloviated fat enchilada ass and start talking about La Raza. Hello, son.
And jocking it. Pimp Daddy Joe P. And jocking it. Pimp Daddy Joe P. Whipping and skipping all day long.
We're making a movie about white guilt. We're going to examine all these facts. Shut up. The civil rights movement today basically protects criminals.
Okay, stop interrupting me.
We're making a movie about white guilt.
Okay, stop interrupting me.
Shut up. We're making a movie about white guilt.
Done in a beautiful fashion. The documentary at the same time both prose and poetry.
It's not the noble movement that it was.
I'm above you on all these issues. I've been to the military. I have served in the capacity to protect your rights to bloviate. To protect your rights to bloviate.
Who are you to tell me what my style is, you meth addict?
I've been to the military.
How do you know I'm a meth addict?
I'm above you on all these issues.
How do you know I'm a meth addict?
You haven't served in the military. In fact, you wouldn't be fit for the military.
I'm a racist, and I don't consider myself an especially evil person.
What's this got to do with the price of rice in China?
Well, I'm just telling you, I'm a better man than you are.
You're a narcissist. We've established that.
Okay, stop interrupting me. You could not defend the very rights you enjoy. You are the ultimate invalid.
I put stock in you. I'm wondering why Mr. Solutions isn't on every daily show.
What's this got to do with the price of rice in China?
Money. I'm into aviation. Money.
Power.
Money.
Power.
Man boobs.
Shut up.
I see why Sick the Tank Daddy kicked his ass and kicked him out of the house early on.
Man boobs.
Shut up.
I'm going to talk over you as loud as I can. I've got my speaker full blast to blow you away.
Shut up.
Mr. Midnight Movie.
My name is Delano. I have killed Mr. Midnight Movie. I've stabbed that son of a bitch.
Money.
Power.
Money.
Power.
Tired.
Money.
Power.
Money.
Well, yes, I am here. This is Inflammatory Talk. I am your host, the inflammatory but diplomatic Mr. Midnight Movie. And we have an equally inflammatory but diplomatic Jewish producer who I want to say kudos, did a really good job yesterday with Melissa Hill, although she did I think, delete one of her tweets when she said she laughed at my podcast.
We were having a little bit of. I got a little bit too funny on the show, and I respect her, and so she, of course, picked the one comment out of me, being stupid. But she's great, and she's really sweet. I think that there's a big future as far as her answering your questions about her points of view.
She got pissed. And oh, by the way, we also have the wonderful, adorable Liz. I believe.
I'm here. I'm on the toilet.
Okay. Okay. That's my job, baby. And my bit. You can't.
I'm sorry. I gotta go when I gotta go.
All right.
Liz will rejoin us when she's done.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Yeah. I'm here.
Yeah. But Liz, I've copywrote that routine, so lawyers will be contacting you soon.
Please, I hope so. I hope they're hot lawyers. That's all I care about.
They are.
Good, thanks.
Hottest lawyers in town, yes. So that was a great show you did.
Yes.
I walk away upset at somebody. I'm not going to get into it, except to say that Bathtub Girl, you are a double talking person who she told all of us, stop being so forget about what has happened in the past with Debbie. Forget everything. Everything's peachy. Just be her friend. And then so what did we do? We adapted and somewhat kind of listened to what she said in a way, and we've been much more civil. Debbie and I have been much more civil, and she had the opportunity to do the same thing tonight. And
she is not a peacemaker.
And she decided to turn the other cheek, and not only that, but to make it harder for other people to want to come on your show and wish Debbie a happy birthday, which was a positive thing all around. And she turned it into this personal vendetta she had, and it was so transparent and so duplicitous and such a nasty thing for her to do. I'm ashamed of Bathtub Girl. She never, as Todd Morris says, she never fails to amaze.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I have her blocked, and I have her blocked on Discord where I can't even see blocked messages from people when they appear, and then I have her blocked on my show. Debbie's not even blocked on my show. So I'm just going to throw that out there that, the alleged, or the rivalry, because the I wouldn't call it a rivalry, but I feel like the issues between Debbie and I are very real. And through that, I think that, the both of us, the humans in us can still shine. Bathtub Girl is not one of those people.
I agree.
So I'm not surprised. I haven't seen anything that she's actually said. I don't really know what's going on. It sounds very Bathtub Girl-like to me. Political Woodstock, for all of you who don't know who Bathtub Girl is. And I'm not surprised, but I was a little disappointed that she didn't come in and at least say happy birthday to Debbie. And I promised that there would be no drama circulating around that, and she didn't care. So
weak sauce, weak, just all around.
By the way, and the title of my show is, and I hope I spelled her damn name right, Alyssa Milano versus James Woods.
I want to say you did spell it right. Like, you did really good. I was really proud of you.
Yeah, because this the Spreaker does not have a spell check format.
No, they don't. You're right.
Yes, but I want to mention there has been some drama. I don't now. Liz, are you familiar with Alyssa Milano at all?
I am. I'm super familiar with James Woods because he's one of my favorite people out there.
Okay, so yeah, me too.
But Alyssa Milano equally as much because of the drama that goes on in the propaganda that she throws out there.
And you were probably too young to remember the show that first made her famous.
No. Well, I don't know. Maybe. What's the show?
Who's the Boss?
No, I remember Who's the Boss.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that was her. I mean, I think she was in Commando before. I mean, I think she was in the movie Commando before that.
Yeah, she was in a couple movies were teenage movies where she was hot.
Who's the Boss would have been my earliest memory of her in any sort of acting role.
And, yeah, I mean, James Woods, I mean, like, by the way, and I don't know if you know much about James Woods, but...
I do, because I love James Woods. And if you were any sort of conservative... anything, so you got to think James Woods is an actor. He's in a lot of comedic roles. He's in a lot of roles. When it comes to big screen, small screen, TV, like he's on Family Guy. He plays actually James Woods on Family Guy, believe it or not. And he plays like his creepy self on Family Guy, and he's an overall really good guy. But he is a conservative actor in Hollywood, and he uses his voice on Twitter to announce that. They've actually banned him on Twitter one time because he made a conservative statement, and they let him back in. Where he made a conservative opinion on someone. It wasn't anything huge or even, I think, debatable. And they banned him for, I want to say, a couple weeks easily before he was let back onto the platform. But he's a super strong Hollywood conservative voice, and I fucking love that guy a lot.
And I'll tell you something. I almost want to, you know what? I almost want to bring Aunt Ruthie on because she knows about Alyssa Milano and her hypocrisy.
No, Ruthie's gonna know that I swore though.
She will.
I'm sorry for swearing.
You know what? I mean, we're all a work in progress. I think she can be a little bit forgiving, but
I didn't mean to. I'm just super passionate about James Woods, though.
Yeah.
Because he's a really strong voice, and so you have people, think about the conservatives in Hollywood. You have people like Clint Eastwood, and there's not a lot of them out there. And you have James Woods, who actively goes out, and people follow him, and through all the negativity, he stands firm. And he brings up really good points, and a lot of people follow him and watch him. And I mean, he is an influential voice. And I think he's a really strong, influential voice. In fact, if anybody were to go on the Twitter for the first time ever, I would suggest he's the first person you should follow if you want to know what's kind of going on.
And I want to mention that James Woods, I don't know if you know this about him, but he is an extreme intellect. Do you know that he went to MIT?
Yes.
I did not, but I can tell because he's super smart.
Yeah. And like I said, and Alyssa Milano, I guess the both of them have been going back and forth. And look, if those two ever got into a debate, I think he would. I think he would basically, just, pretty much destroy. I mean, like really, pretty much destroy.
He would annihilate her. She's like dumb. Have you ever heard her talk? She's literally a dumb person. No, I mean, I know this sounds like it's belittling her. I'd say, sorry, dumb is no, she's literally dumb. I can't even say she's ignorant. I can say that she's dumb. I really don't know how else to put it. What's her education level? Does anyone know that?
I'm not sure. If you want to Wikipedia,
she was a child actor.
Yeah.
Which means she's been in the acting business and making money since she was really small. I highly doubt you're going to find a college degree behind anything, or even much more out of a high school degree out of anything Alyssa Milano's put out there.
Yes.
So you don't have that basic problem-solving logicalness that would come with anyone who's even graduated high school. Like, that would be non-existent in her case. Anything outside of that. So I for her to give out any sort of opinion or anything outside of what I would consider very high school like, I don't give any respect to. I mean, I know she's lived through this world of someone with money, but I really feel like there's so much missing from her that her opinion sucks and she's dumb.
And
how could you ever take her seriously? The most intelligent thing she's ever said was scripted in a show about witchcraft.
Yeah.
She began acting at 7 years old. And that's all she's done. That's all she knows. Her whole life's been scripted.
Yeah, her entire life has been scripted. Now, I appreciate anybody who has, like, you know, that kind of money. They tend to do some good in society, and I always appreciate that because they, you know, are encouraging this socialist political environment that we should all be in, and that I mean, I know Alyssa Milano gives half of her money to the federal government on purpose because that's how she feels everyone should live. Or maybe I'm wrong. Wait a minute, you're right. No, wait, hold on. Sorry. No, she doesn't. So, once again, the whole ignorance point of view comes into play because Alyssa Milano, since the age of 7, has never had to be without. So she doesn't know what she's talking about other than making a cameo here and there, maybe around the world or even locally. So she's stupid. Where James Woods, who actually goes and he has a college education, and within that has been around people and socialized and been in groups where you can hear real life stories and have at least spent a semester with someone doing volunteer work, all the things that combined go along with being a really well-developed person. He's had that experience, and he's very smart. He's just a smart guy. There is no competition between James Woods and Alyssa Milano.
Yeah, I mean, and there has been, like I said, there's been no love lost between those two. And it's...
he owns her in every debate they've ever even argued on. Owns her. She's stupid. He owns most people in the media. I follow him so close. Like, he's one of the only, besides Scene Doc, Jewish producer, Mr. Midnight Movie, when they post something, I want to be notified of it.
Yes.
Like, it's you guys and James Woods.
Really? Yeah, I
mean... you know.
All right.
Yeah,
I know. It's you guys are the only people on Twitter that I care to be notified immediately when you post something. So,
but Alyssa Milano, and James Woods, they've been going through a little bit of a spat, from my understanding, and I want to just
What's spat over?
It is just I'm it's a Twitter spat, and now I'm having, I guess, my brain. But I want to read a few tweets of Melissa Milano real quick. Now I'm sharing my screen, unless you guys want to read. If any of you want to go to Twitter and read Alyssa Milano's tweets.
Can you drop a link to her Twitter page in the chat room?
Yes, I can do that.
But she's ridiculous. And once again, I can appreciate the humanitarian in her and wanting to try. But what I can't appreciate is an adult who is completely ignorant of the world and how it works, trying to influence others on how they should be.
Yeah. That's her Twitter, by the way, or her tweets. Is that her tweet? Yeah. Right. And people tweeting to her, so it's both. If you want to take, I put that in our chat board.
Well, a Hollywood actress decided to weigh in on the gun debate. Alyssa Milano decided to tweet out a bald-faced lie about gun laws, and then, well, James Woods stepped in and instantly destroyed her along with the rest of the internet. Mary Kate for Liberty Writers reports that the liberal actress Alyssa Milano, she made a fool of herself this week on Twitter when she tweeted a bold-faced lie in response to the horror that happened in Texas, according to the BizPac review. Milano reportedly claimed that Texas doesn't require background checks for the purchase of long guns, but there is just one problem. Texas totally does require a background check for long guns like AR-15s, which were used, or the type of gun that was used by the shooter over the weekend. Here's a tweet that she put out, a series of tweets that's kicked off a firestorm. There are no background checks on long guns in Texas. Thanks for the info. Now, she was quoting a tweet by Shannon Watts, who is the founder of Moms Demand Action, a pro-gun control organizer. And then James Wood decided to pop in. He says, "You are completely wrong. The facts." He says, "A gun owner with a legally registered weapon stopped a killer who is using weapons barred by law." Okay, now James Woods was just among the many.
By the way, this guy talking right now, I used to work for him. I used to write articles for him. Yeah, I wrote a series of articles for a magazine, and he was the chief editor, and yeah. So
is he a tribesman?
No. I mean, you know what? He might be actually. It's hard to say. I don't think he is. Very libertarian. He's pretty good. He's pretty cool dude.
Is he from California, by the way, or no?
Okay. I don't know if he's from. I don't think he's from California. No.
Now, he absolutely nailed it. Other Twitter users decided to jump in on the game, too. Josh Hammer, he says, "I've actually purchased an AR-style rifle here in the state of Texas, and this is a bald-faced lie." Another one, boom. "By all means, let's have pop stars and actors weigh in on government policy. You're sure to get 1,000% accurate."
All right. Okay, did you want to read some more of Alyssa Milano's tweets?
Well, I put her tweets out. Liz, are you there? I put...
yeah, of course I'm here.
I put Alyssa Milano's Twitter following, or her one of the Twitter things that I was looking at, and I posted that in the Skype box. If you want to take a looky. Can you see the Skype box, honey?
I can, yes.
So, you want to read the first tweet you see?
Okay, let me see. It says, "I wish you wouldn't gerrymander my empathy. I have enough space in my heart to worry about all children everywhere."
Yeah. Well, that was Nikki Mack, who said, "I wish you were worried about American kids and Americans as much as you were illegals."
Wow.
Interesting.
Once again, she's kind of a dumbass.
Oh, by the way, this will be the biggest point of controversy. The second one is about James Woods.
All right. So this is she's responding to James Woods said.
Oh, wait, JP. Why don't we have Liz read Alyssa Milano and you read James Woods?
That's why I was reading James Woods.
Okay. Can we have Liz read the Alyssa Milano first, and then you can read James Woods?
But she's responding to James Woods.
So James Woods has to go first, which is JP, and then I'll respond.
All right. Good. Sorry.
So James Wood says the media onslaught against white privilege, Christianity, male toxicity, all the liberal nonsense reveals a misstep by those uneducated in the power of history. The sure thing history has taught us, never declare a race war against a majority. It won't end well.
I'm really disappointed in my part in this play. I'm playing Alyssa Milano, and her response to that is, in the event that you don't speak red hat, I think what James Woods is saying in the below tweet is, if you're a minority of any kind, sit down and shut up. Please correct me if I'm wrong, James Woods. Wow, I don't feel like that's what he said at all.
No, I don't either. I didn't get that either. She never tries to disprove the fact she's a dumbass. Oh well.
And then we have one underneath the Sarah Palin. I mean, we have a few others here. We have one from Larry Elder, and who is tweeting to Melissa Milano. I call her Melissa. Alyssa Milano. JP, do you want to read that from Larry Elder?
Well, Larry Elder says, if the MAGA hat is not... if the MAGA hat is a racist cog whistle, where were you on the X caps many blacks once wore? The caps were not exactly a symbol of inclusiveness. Those wearing them were not maligned as hateful or divisive. That's true. A lot of people wore X hats, and it was like either people didn't know what the hell that it meant, or they thought it was cool. I'm not sure what, but there was no response. I don't know why you had me read that. There's no response by Alyssa Milano.
Yeah, you're right. And then if we can, you know what? I mean, I would just, I guess I would like to have Liz.
You're failing.
Liz, stop it. Liz, if you can read.
What?
It's underneath Sarah Palin's tweet about she did a tweet. Someone should tell Trump. Yes.
Okay. I am playing the part of Alyssa Milano on Twitter. Someone should tell Trump that every time he uses rape in a speech, sexual assault survivors everywhere are triggered. Wow.
All right. I want us all to click on. Yes, I want us all to click on Melissa Milano's Twitter page, and let's see what this brilliant woman has to say. So the first one, and I'll read this. The other day,
I have a child actor.
Oh, you do?
And I would never let him talk like that.
Right.
Not that I would ever let him talk like that. I guess here would be my response to that. Like, you're going to be educated and get to know the world before you take a stance on anything. Mm-hmm. And I think leaving that open-ended like this, I highly doubt he would ever turn out to be like Alyssa Milano.
Yes, maybe. You never know. But the
influence of Hollywood, no. But I mean, you look at the most intelligent, educated, Hollywood people. I mean, even the girl in The Big Bang Theory. What's her name? She's a conservative. And remember, she got a bunch of shit for being conservative, and she's been very quiet ever since.
Wait. The big
Kelly Coco.
Kelly Coco is actually a conservative?
Yeah, she is. She's the hot one. She's a stone cold conservative.
Wait a minute. I'm going to look that up real quick.
Yeah, she got a bunch of shit. It was at least 5 years ago. She's conservative, and they were giving her so much problems over it because she had given some opinion on women or something like that. And yeah, I mean, but once again, she's very educated, You know, she's very smart. I mean, not smart enough not to talk politics when you work in Hollywood.
No, and it's sad today because there was a time when there were some.
But did you see that? Go back to that. Look at her little bio down below.
Oh, she comes from a Christian. She comes from a Christian home.
Yeah, Christian conservative home and all that. And she made one comment one time which like almost damned her even in her career. And it's really hard. Anyway, I would assume that my son being a child actor and all, because this isn't how we survive as a family. He has working parents. He has education first. He has all these demands to where nobody here is trying to make a buck off him.
Yeah,
and then he keeps all of his money, and he doesn't even get to touch the money that he makes until he's older. But given all that, if he educates himself, he will never turn out like Alyssa Milano.
I hope not.
She's stupid.
I hope not.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, not stupid. She's dumb.
Yes, she is a dumbo. And And you know what? I was on there for a while, and then I got onto a chick with very nice.
Yes, not call a doctor.
Yeah, call a doctor.
Yeah, call a doctor. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Titties.
And by the way, okay, so this is one of her best tweets, and she has written an article. If you're all on Alyssa Milano's Twitter page, because that was just like her tweeting and people tweeting to her, and you can get on her page through the page that I sent you to. She said, the other day I tweeted that red MAGA hats are the new white hoods. People were pissed. People demanded an apology. The media reported I was in hot water and I was receiving backlash for saying this. Well, here is my op-ed. So if anyone wants to... should I tweet the op-ed or can you guys get to that?
I don't really care about the op-ed. Who is Alyssa Milano nowadays? What is she doing? Is she doing anything? Is she putting out any work? Is she doing anything mean? She was always a I guess, first of all, she was always a mediocre actress.
Mm-hmm.
Very B-level actress who wants to get involved in politics, and that's literally the only attention she's getting nowadays.
Yes.
Who gives a crap about what Alyssa Milano says or does or feels or thinks? I believe she's housewifed up now, and that's all she's doing besides social justice worrying on Twitter.
She's a wealthy person, and a lot of people listen to her. Now, does anyone want to read this, or do we have to struggle through my reading?
No, nobody has to read this. Felicia,
read it.
Actually, this guy was up during the No DAC pipeline protest. Felicia WTF knows everything about this guy.
Oh, and he's also a fake Vietnam vet. Called himself Now, he never called himself a Vietnam veteran. He called himself a Vietnam Times veteran. And,
awkward.
Actor.
Yeah, actor. But Felicia actually knows him. Oh God, Political Woodstock is in the chat room and missing me, it looks like. Felicia actually knows all about him from when they did the pipeline protests in North Dakota.
Oh, really?
And he was on those, he was a part of those camps that were camped out there, and she has some really good stories, and she's put them in Discord. It would be beneficial to have her come in and talk about him and the trouble that he's caused. He was actually kicked out of the camps in North Dakota because of the trouble and that he's caused in the fights that he's instigated and the problems that he's caused. And this guy is no stranger to creating drama and causing problems. He was literally removed from that No DAC pipeline, their movement. They actually kicked him out because of the problems he was causing.
So, I mean, this guy, Mr. Phillips, because, like I said, and Stefan Molyneux has a really good like just a descriptive video of him, because he didn't go up to the Hebrew Israelites. He went up to these kids. Now, if you can please, Liz, with your reading expertise, if you want me to put it in the Skype box, I will. But if you can please read the Alyssa Milano article she wrote. She wrote an op-ed piece, and I will put it in the Skype box. But with your wonderful reading, maybe doing your best, Melissa Milano.
Make other people read all night. Come on, man.
Stop it! Stop it! No one wants to hear my reading. Okay, this is her op-ed piece, by the way, and this was what she wrote regarding the MAGA hats. And she's saying that MAGA hats are, and many people are saying that MAGA hats are tantamount to Klan hoods.
I think that's stupid, but hold on, it's opening up on my computer.
Yes.
All right, let's read the op-ed by Alyssa Milano. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, so first it starts off with the title. Alyssa Milano, red MAGA hats are the new white hoods. Let's take a stand. And then it shows the kid with the Native American. Such a stupid story. All right, here we go. Last week, a group of boys engaged with a Native American man beating a tribal drum. The exchange was caught on video, and watching that video, each of us saw what we wanted to see. Because the divisions in this country are so deep, they're fossilized. That's a pretty bold statement.
I would agree with her on that.
Wow.
Though.
Yeah, I mean, but think about it. So she's using really strong verbiage, which is all right, okay. Because the divisions in this country are so deep, they're fossilized. Very dramatic. Welcome to Hollywood. Still, some things in that video cannot be disputed, no matter what angle or how extended the cut is. These boys who attended a religious school. These boys who attended a religious school were there on a school trip protesting against a woman's right to reproductive freedom. Okay. Several of these boys were wearing red MAGA hats, a hat that has become synonymous with white nationalism and racism.
Oh, it's called MAGA, by the way. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, MAGA. They were it's Make America Great Again. It's MAGA, MAGA, I guess for sure. Several were doing a tomahawk chop, quotations. Several were laughing. When I saw the video, I saw boys flaunting their entitlement and displaying toxic masculinity. It seemed to me like they were reflecting the white nationalism and racism that the hats on their heads have come to represent. I sent out a tweet that read, "The red MAGA hat is the new white hood." Right-wing pundits and anonymous trolls alike screamed for my head, literally and figuratively. I wonder if they chopped off her head and put it in a photo shoot and displayed it, like what's her name did, I think, when Trump became president.
Yeah, the comedian, yeah. Yeah.
Did anyone, do a photo shoot where they cut off Alyssa Milano's head?
Yeah.
By chance, and do a photo shoot where they showed her decapitated head?
Yeah, I can't remember the comedian's name, but she was she was vilified, but she came back. Unlike Roseanne, who's still vilified. But yes, I mean you're right on that.
Oh, look at she starts. Hold on, everyone. Alyssa Milano starts crying really quick here. This is adorable. Okay, so I'll go back a sentence or two. The red MAGA hat is the new white hood. Right-wing pundits and anonymous trolls alike screamed for my head, literally and figuratively. My husband received death threats on his cell phone. Many demanded an apology. That's all they demanded out of you, Alyssa Milano? Adorable. Here's the thing. I was right, she says. So I want to apologize to these boys or anyone who wears that hat, but I will thank them. I will thank them for lighting the fire underneath the conversation about systematic racism and misogyny.
Misogyny.
Misogyny. I understand. I know the word. In this country, in the world, President Donald Trump has had in cultivating and making it acceptable. What a crock of shit. Trump comes by his white nationalism honestly, maybe even genetically. In 1927, oh, hold on, we got an expert here. Thank God for that. Maybe even genetically. In 1927, his father, Fred Trump, was arrested along with 600 men after a Klan parade in Jamaica, New York, aimed at keeping Catholic immigrants out of America. I'm going to reread this one more time in case you guys didn't hear this. His father, Fred Trump, was arrested along with 6 other men after a Klan parade in Jamaica, New York, aimed at keeping Catholic immigrants out of America. Now, in 1927, this is off topic, Mr. Midnight Movie, weren't most people pissed off at the Irish for coming in and taking the jobs?
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know about the Irish, but I think that was...
No. It's Catholic immigrants. 1927 was the time where everyone hated the Irish for coming in and taking American jobs. They had the potato famine. When was the potato famine?
The potato famine, they had 2 potato famines, actually, in Ireland. One was in the 1600s, I believe, and the other was in the late 1800s. They had a potato famine, and they came here. Yeah, I mean, they came here.
There was an influx of Irish immigrants in the United States. Am I correct?
Yes.
And a lot of people were pissed off about Irish immigrants, white Irish immigrants, about coming to the United States and taking their jobs because you could pay the Irish less, and they didn't care because they were making money because it's more money they can make at home, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, very similar to the arguments, very similar. And the Irish came in to cause problems. Some of them did they not?
Yeah, they sure did.
They sure fucking did. And so her statement right here, without going into any history on what actually people were protesting in New York at that time in 1927 is non-existent in this spiel she's making. She doesn't talk about anything that's actually going on at the time at 1927, but she's giving you the idea that people were protesting Catholic immigrants in New York, and it was a form of nationalism at the time, where she's completely ignorant and wrong of what actually happened at that time. So for all of you listening out there, 1927, there was, and before that and even afterwards, people here in the United States were pissed. The Irish were coming over in floods, and it wasn't just the Klan. It wasn't just one group or another. Americans were pissed because the Irish were coming in and taking the jobs here, and they would work for less and really throw in a wrench up in the Industrial Revolution, because the Irish would do shit a lot cheaper than everyone else. Industrial Revolution? I want to say with Industrial Revolution. But I digress. So let's continue on with this sentence. I'll read back once more just to show how stupid she is.
Can I mention that back then a Catholic was running for president, Al Smith, in 1928. A year later, the first Catholic would be running for president, Al Smith. Go ahead.
Right. But let's look at the times. She doesn't talk about any of that, though. She doesn't talk about why. She literally is talking about the now, brings up something that happened in 1927, even though a logical person would know that times are different then, and there may have been a reason for that, but she made a point to bring up that Donald Trump's father was arrested with 600 men in a Klan parade. She's painting a narrative that is completely false given the times. A lot of people were arrested. There was a lot of issues with Irish immigrants, Catholic, coming over here and taking jobs. And people were pissed. I digress. But I'll read this sentence one more time just in case you guys didn't hear it the first 3 times. Maybe even genetically, in 1927, his father, Fred Trump, was arrested along with 6 other men after a Klan parade in Jamaica, New York, aimed at keeping Catholic immigrants out of America. This is what Alyssa Milano painted for all of you who have ever read this op-ed. While the younger Trump denies his father was ever there, arrest records are clear. Arrest records from 1927 are clear? Fuck, show me that one. And the news report at the time reported that all 7 men arrested were berobed. Anyway,
hold on.
It appears irrefutable that the father of President of the United States was in the Ku Klux Klan. I'm sorry.
Wait a minute. You know what? I want to say, and I don't know why I'm laughing, but I took a look at our chat board, and it seems like all hell has broken loose.
Oh no! I see the chat. Hold on. Oh God! I don't know. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can read all of this, but someone's a little upset.
If we can just if we can just get 3 minutes ago. What political Woodstock has said?
Oh God, I don't know. 3 minutes ago, that's a lot of words.
It was maddening considering Luz pushed me to a suicide attempt.
Oh God.
And then JP says, and then Rod says, PETA. They were comedy, and Liz even said in her disclaimer, they were not meant to be mean-spirited. The show was sharing memories of Debbie, and laughing at the ridiculous singing was great, and the real.
So what Political Woodstock is talking about, I guess for anybody who's listening, she came up in her mind that, and I think a lot of us went back to the show, and it was allegedly on your show, where she said, I'm going to kill myself, and then apparently I said, do it, which never happened. I went back and listened to all the footage, looked back in the chat room to see if anything was misconstrued. This is not a new backup or argument that I've given out there. She's aware of that, and I go, you know what? If I want you to show me this, Angela, Bathtub Girl, Political Woodstock. I want you to show me where I said this, and if I'm wrong, I'm going to apologize, because I would never do that. And if I'm right, then you do need to admit that. And she has never, ever, ever come back, and I went back to see if I actually said something that may have been misconstrued, because if I did something on accident, I'm still going to apologize. And I couldn't find it. I could not find the footage of anything she's talking about.
You know what, Liz? I got to tell you, I think that Angela seems to live for drama. That's how she gets her ego, and that's how she defines herself. It seems like if there is not drama in Political Woodstock's life, then she can't have her ego, and I think she gets her ego from drama. I think she gets her ego from from all this stuff. I mean, this is egocentric, narcissistic.
It is, and she wants someone to blame for her issues. It's something this is not new. Yeah. There's other people, and she's like, oh my God, and once again, I'll be the first one to apologize, even if I did it on accident.
Let this go. She is a monster. She's a double-talking liar, hypocrite, and she shouldn't be acting this way, but she does, and she makes me sick, and I'm not backing down from what I said. She's completely in the wrong, 100% wrong And now she's calling Mr. Mitch. She's just pointing fingers everywhere. But she is so wrong. She told us, she gave us advice. And it was good advice. She said, you guys should forgive, she said forgive and forget, which I'm not going to do. But, to at least have some kind of, I don't know, do what you can to be able to communicate with Debbie. And I have. Okay, I took that advice. I thought it was good advice. And I'm telling her the exact same thing. And she's fucking shitting in my face with her reactions. Her behavior is horrible. It's absolutely disgusting. I'm speechless that she's even trying to wiggle her way around this argument.
Well, I'm trying to convince others that this whole scenario happened is just completely ridiculous. I think my standpoint of view as being someone who has been affected by suicide in my personal life, that my standpoint has always been that if there's nothing I can do, and I understand that, but I wouldn't encourage it. I think you're completely wrong. Also, if you are at a level to where you are questioning whether you should be living or not, you should live. And what you should do is that you should get help. I cannot help you. And if you think that you are around someone who is so toxic in your mind, someone that is so bad for you that they make you question whether you should exist or not, then you need to get away from that person. That is the healthy thing to do. And you need to seek help and absolutely, call 911 if you feel like you are going to hurt yourself. And that's it.
She's pointing at all these other people for being wrong. She's called 4 different people wrong tonight. And when you have to keep asking everybody around you and pointing all your fingers at everybody around you that you think are wrong, maybe you should stop and maybe you should look at yourself and maybe reconsider where you're coming from. Maybe you're the source of the problem here.
And very much so. I mean, I once again, I don't have, if she wants to try to talk to me, she's more than welcome to come talk to me. She had no problem sitting back and watching me do skits on Debbie or other people.
Yeah.
Anyone. And, I don't have any empathy towards my skits on her. They're obviously very comedy-based and humor-based and very exaggerated, as they are in all of my skits on anyone that I do skits on. However, if you feel like they are personally affect you, I highly suggest you don't follow my show. You don't listen. And if you do have a problem, my email and all that is up on my profile. You can always email me and talk to me personally. If it's depressing you that bad and you feel like you're in a situation where you're going to hurt yourself in the interim while trying to work it out with me, I highly suggest you call 911 and speak to a medical professional. And that is my absolute the most sound advice I could give. And that's it.
Okay, I agree. Anyways, we can move on.
Back to Alyssa Milano and how stupid she is.
Back to the whole Melissa Milano.
And I'm on my Facebook right now. One of my Facebook people says, "Life is short. Make sure you spend as much time as possible on arguing the internet. Arguing with strangers about politics." And I'm going to say, if you argue with a stranger, they can always become an enemy.
Yeah, anyway. Pretty much. You get to a point where everyone has their own level of intelligent arguing. Meaning, you know what you know, and as a mature adult, if someone brings some kind of light into the situation, you take it into consideration. Fuck, you might even change your mind.
Could be.
Who knows? Who knows? Whatever new evidence gets brought to light, I think that's the way a normal person functions and thinks. These people who are emotionally driven without any sort of intelligence-based logic, I can't listen to them. And I'll still listen to everyone to see if I can maybe root out some sort of intelligent argument. Or maybe there's something I'm missing, so I do listen to them. I don't want to, though. Alyssa Milano doesn't give any intelligence-based facts in any argument that she has. Period. And she's emotional. She's emotionally driven in anything she has to say, without actually reading any sort of factual basis for argument.
Horrible.
She's terrible. Absolutely terrible. That's why I don't listen to her. She's a B-rated actress. I don't think she thinks she's influencing as many people as she thinks. Why James Woods would actually give her the time of day except for finding her annoying. I think that they've done a couple things together on Family Guy and those shows, and so I know that they've had interactions with acting and work in the past, but why he would actually give her the time of day as far as her argument, I don't know. He's obviously way up here. She's nowhere close. She's a complete idiot. I'm sorry. But I do appreciate that she cares enough for people emotionally to do something about it. I can appreciate that. I just don't listen to her when it comes to guidance on how I should act.
To me, she will always be best remembered for how hot she was when we were, like all me and my friends were teenagers. We all thought she was so hot. That's it. There is nothing else in her legacy, acting-wise or obviously politically-wise.
So can we get back to the article? Also, I want to mention, what was I going to bloviate about? I even forget. But I want to thank Political Woodstock for partially derailing our show off topic.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah, just everything's about you. Let's get more you into the subject. You know.
Once again, Political Woodstock. You know, peace to you. The door's open. You can always come talk to me if you feel like I was unjustly portraying you in my fake comedy tonight, my comedy skits, or any other night. I mean, once again, and if you are considering hurting yourself like you're threatening doing in the chat room right now, I would highly suggest that you call 911 because there is every reason in the world for you to live.
Number one, stop listening to this show, and number two, 911.
All right, so back to the
call a therapist.
Call therapist, all of the above. All right, so back to the reading. It appears irrefutable that the father of the President of the United States was in the Ku Klux Klan. That's right. I stopped on a ridiculous note.
Yes.
Fred Trump's racist practices in his residential real estate holdings caused iconic American songwriter Woody Guthrie to write about the color line that the old man Trump brought to the neighborhood. Mr. Minute Movie, who is Woody Guthrie?
He is, I believe he's the son, I mean...
But you don't know who he is.
No, I know who Woody Guthrie is. He's the folk singer.
Okay. Jewish producer, who's Woody Guthrie?
Well, Woody and Arlo Guthrie were musicians, right?
What's your favorite song?
Woody Guthrie is. Wait a second. Woody Guthrie is Arlo Guthrie's son, and he wrote "The Train to New Orleans." So I didn't know he wrote it. I didn't know he recently wrote it, but that was in the '60s, or maybe I don't know, it was the '60s or early '70s. But I guess he wrote a song about the color line that old man Trump brought to the neighborhood.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
And by the time the president took over management of the business, multiple lawsuits were filed against it for racial bias in housing. Interesting. By the time he ran for president, Trump belated themes that would have appealed to those same Klan marchers who were arrested with his father in 1927. Build a wall to keep immigrants out. That's interesting. Can we build a wall to keep the Catholic Irish immigrants out? A New York wall. Interesting. Ban Muslim immigrants. So they want to ban Muslims and Catholics now? America first. Make America great again. Oh, God. Here's with the Hollywood dramaticism. David Duke endorsed him, which Trump initially refused to disavow. Racists flocked to his rallies, and they proudly put on the red hats. Let me be clear. I'm not saying everyone who voted for Trump is a racist. I am saying that everyone who proudly wears the hat identifies with an ideology of white supremacy and misogyny. Jesus Christ, Elizabeth. Everyone who proudly wears those hats gives a tacit endorsement.
Yes. Yeah, a tacit endorsement.
Don't tell me how to read.
I'm gonna teach you to read. Okay.
A tacit endorsement for the hatred and the violence we've seen in the past few years. Oh, God. Okay, here we go. When the Unite the Right chanted, Jews will not replace us, the red hats were there. This bitch writes like I do. I can write just like this, and it's great. This is how I know it's very dramatic and will stick, because I have the same talent. Here we go. When young children were being torn from their families at the border and forced to represent themselves in immigration court, the red hats were there. When Muslims were banned from coming to live in this country, the red hats were there. When there was a White Lives Matter rally, the red hats were there. When black protesters were assaulted at a Trump rally, the red hats were there. When the Proud Boys teamed up with the neo-Nazis, the red hats were there. When a terrorist mailed pipe bombs to a prominent political leaders and activists, many women who were Jewish, the red hats were there. When a Democrat showed up on a baseball field trying to kill Republican congressmen. Wait, shit, I wasn't reading that. I just remembered that. Sorry. There was no red hats there, though.
Yes.
Pretty sure. Yeah. Sorry, got off topic there. I stopped reading and just went on my own memories. And when a boys' school sent a group of students to protest against a women's right to bodily
autonomy.
No, I read it's really hard to read this. Why aren't you reading this?
All right, do you want me to continue, or do you want to?
No, it's not hard physically to read it. It's hard mentally to actually sit here and put up with this nonsense.
You think it's so emotional? Yes.
It is so emotional. This whole thing is just really it's really ridiculous. She literally goes from painting a picture of a time where in 1927 people were protesting Catholic immigrants, and then those turned into a wall, and then it turned into Muslim immigrants, and then it turned into every Democratic ultra left-wing story without actually bringing to light that there are other things that go on both sides, and maybe contributing that people that do bad things are just bad people no matter who they side with, into just this attack on the right. And there's just no real thought process here that isn't completely biased. And then she's blaming it all on red hats, and she's just trying to associate people that wear red hats with the Ku Klux Klan. That's not even a thing. Mm-hmm. It's not even a thing.
Yes.
This is so ridiculous to even read.
Yes, well,
who
is
she actually influencing though?
We want to get into the mind, and I also want to make clear on why I wanted to make a documentary about white guilt. I mean, in the last portion of her rant says a lot.
The last portion of her rant. Oh, God, we're at the end here, huh?
Yes.
Okay. When a terrorist mailed pipe bombs... Oh, I already got that one. Okay, right. Okay, we go down. This isn't like wearing the hat of a sports team that you love. These hats symbolize hate. They signal to others an embrace of policies of discrimination, oppression, and exclusion. The Red Hats are demanding an apology from me for a tweet that compares Red Hats to White Hoods. And maybe it isn't the same. After all, years ago, racists like Fred Trump... racists like Fred Trump put on the hood to hide. There's no hiding with the Red Hats, only pride. Still, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the decades and decades of oppression and abuses people of color have faced in this country. I'm sorry that as a part of being... I'm sorry that as a part of a privileged white majority, we have not stopped this administration from happening. I'm sorry to those who have suffered at the hands of Red Hats and the policies their leadership implements. See, I'm not apologizing to the Red Hats. I'm apologizing for them. Part of making amends with our history is making sure that it doesn't repeat itself. I will not be silent. I will not be intimidated. Everywhere these hateful acts occur, everywhere I see a Red Hat stop a person of color from thriving. What a fucking joke. I'm sorry. Alright, I'm going to start over. Everywhere these hateful acts occur, everywhere I see a Red Hat stopping a person of color from thriving, everywhere I see a Red Hat get between a woman and her body, a person needing asylum, and the safety we can offer, a child and her parents, I'll be there. I'll be loud, and I'm not alone. Whatever. You know what I found was a huge strength in the African American community, and actually in any community right now, whether you're white, whether you're Middle Eastern, Hispanic, you know what I see as an accountant when I walk outside my door every day is that people are working, and people are bringing home money, and people are really happy about that. And I see a thriving economy. You see less crime with people put to work. You see people who have spent their entire lives in the system that all of a sudden can get a job because there's not enough workers. And they're given that second chance they hadn't had their entire life. And when I read things like seeing a person of color, stopping a person of color from thriving in this administration, I don't see that when I walk outside. In fact, the only thing I see are the people stopping from thriving are the people on heroin and the people on drugs who live in the streets and they choose to be homeless, which is a very Democratic-fueled policy, a social economic stance in this world right now. To where it's like, it's okay, do drugs, we feel very sorry for you. Yeah, you have an addiction, even though your addiction was a choice. No one made you do heroin. And I feel like those are the only people right now who are genuinely suffering, the people that cannot get themselves out of addiction. They're the only ones oppressed. And with the exception of a small few, I've never seen the state of California go, we might not need to pay people all these food stamps now, which is in like the stance they're in. Going, what are we going to do with all this excess funding? And that is not because California is doing well. It is very, very on a nationwide level, and I think that's the same with all states. Rant over. My apologies.
Well, I'll tell you something. One of the things that frightens me is California used to be somewhat. It was a center right state. And this is not a center left state. It is a leftist. It is a very far left state.
Are you talking about the state of California?
Yes.
Politically, yeah. Socially, no. You find, I feel like, a really 50-50 split, maybe, with a lot of people actually not really siding either which way. A lot of independents. Did you see that an article that came out in Los Angeles? How many faked or non-citizens? How many are voting down there in your area that aren't supposed to be? Like over 1 million?
I've heard that before. That it could be.
Where they came in, they got sued for it. That's your county, and guess what they were? Guess what they all were? They were Democrats. I think everyone in California, if you were to eliminate a lot of those illegal votes, the state would actually be conservative.
Trump would say it's the Mexicans.
You know what? I gotta say that I'm not really. You know what? I think that it would hit a little bit. I mean, it would.
I'll lower that number, is what he would say.
It would.
I mean, have you ever looked at the spread map of the entire state of California on what they have to count the votes as now? And if you look at the map, geographically 50-50, it leans about 50-50 conservative. I think if you were to actually eliminate the votes from San Francisco, Los Angeles, Sacramento, the bigger cities, which is where all these illegal votes are coming out of, you would actually see a majority conservative population in the state of California, which is what I see when I walk out my door every day. You very seldomly see just a group of liberals running the joint.
This is all the media's portrayal of California, and it's spread. How do people in any other state, anywhere, know just how stupidly liberal Californians are? It's not from coming and visiting California. It's by watching their news. It is. I know more black conservatives than I do any other black person that has an opinion politically. That's interesting. Yeah, but
you will never, hardly ever will you see a black person go, "I'm liberal."
You know,
think about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I gotta say,
you might see a couple of Democrats, but you'll never go, "Hey, how do you vote?" You'll find a lot of them not voting, but the ones that do, there's more percentage of conservative black voters than you'll find any other party.
I will say this, and it supports what you're saying, is that I've seen this trend. Blacks used to be more adamantly anti-gay, and they have softened their stand as a group. Before it used to be, and it's because it's politically incorrect. It's all about censorship. It's just showing you how censorship and political correctness has even touched the most liberal baseline.
But I have to say that I kind of, because the economy. Hold on a second. The economy's good right now, but the economy was bad under Barack Obama.
It was.
And
thanks to Bush, but right.
Well, no, I don't. Well, no, I don't.
He inherited a bad situation.
He did.
Yeah, okay, he inherited a bad situation, but he didn't get us out of it. And to me, that is normally that would have been considered a failure. And because of the racial dynamics,
set up for failure by the Bush administration.
Right.
He had to go.
Right. And he did make some progress, but he didn't make the progress he could have and should have because he's too busy playing identity politics with everyone. And fuck him.
Okay, listen. The first thing that Barack.
Sorry, Ruthie.
Wait a minute. Let me finish here. The first thing that.
Stop the F word.
Will you guys please let me finish.
No more F words, Liz. God darn it.
Sorry.
All right. The first thing that Barack Obama did when he got into office, instead of trying to do things to stimulate the economy, you know what the first thing he did? He rammed health care through. That was the first thing he did.
That was his legacy.
He didn't. The Democratic Party did.
But he was okay. But that was, like I said, and it was unpopular. And then
he didn't care.
No, he didn't care.
Yeah.
And he actually lost the House after that. And then they voted in. With a simple majority, and with that kind of scumbag tactics. He still won. because of the heavy minority voting and the demographic change. Before, if a white person had gotten the votes that Romney had, that usually meant that would have been not just a close victory, that would have meant a landslide. And
there's a couple of things that contributed to that, though. Number one, even though nobody, you don't like to admit it, he did pull us out of a recession, even if it was a slow pullout. You gotta give him some credit for that. And Trump has done a way better job. Don't get me wrong, but he was given a really crappy situation, and he did actually pull us out of a recession as a nation on a very, very slow incline.
Okay, because I do blame in my opinion. Who's calling?
Somebody must be liking the lively conversation.
I
can't stand to sit there and be silent for 5 seconds.
Who's calling?
Dennis? I don't know.
Yeah, Dennis. But I gotta shoot, guys. I gotta add you guys to the call.
Sorry, Nanos. We're gonna add
and Apocalypse too.
We could. I could.
I will give President Obama credit where he's due.
Why don't you pick up the call?
I'm not gonna lie.
I'm gonna jump in Big Nick Digger. So if you don't want to add them to your Skype, they could get on.
Well, I can add them to Skype. I can't add them all at once. But if I add them to the call,
we'll hear you on Discord as well. It's your choice. It's up to you.
I can add Dennis.
Yes.
I can add APOC.
Get out of Apocalypse.
Let's see if Apocalypse.
You pay for Skype per month.
There you go. Yeah. Add him on the Skype. You don't want anybody just hopping in Discord.
Yeah. That's true.
If we're talking politics, you don't want every willy nilly just kind of hopping in there. I mean, it's up to you. But I will give President Obama. He did some things that I did like policy wise, and I'm sorry, the fact that he made gay marriage and I thought that should have been done a long time ago. I don't see the point in fighting that battle over love and emotions. Let him get fucking married. Who cares?
Okay, I believe that.
Would fight that.
Okay,
it just never bugged me. That was just a topic that never bugged me.
I want to mention, in my opinion, what I've looked into is the whole real estate bubble burst, and it was from what I saw it was expanded because of the Democratic policy, the Community Reinvestment Act that that falsely and hyperly inflated the real estate market, and then when that bubble burst.
Well, we also looked into some of those lending practices before. There were straight away some god-awful lending practices.
There was.
And it was right in everyone's face. Everybody knew it. So I would say
those lending practices would not have existed without the Community Reinvestment Act. When Clinton put teeth into that, he forced the banks to do that, and yes, there was corruption.
Clinton set up some really bad things for the Bush administration to kind of just sit back and wait for without having any idea that it was headed their way by deregulating the housing market, which is what the Clinton administration was responsible for. It had hit when Bush was in office, and Bush got the blame for that. That wasn't his fault.
No.
He had no control over that whatsoever.
They all seem to leave a big giant turd as they leave office.
They really do, and that's the thing too. But Bush had some bad policies go into place that left. Obama had some crap, but the part of the recession that Bush actually ended up going through was Bush not being smart enough to figure out what was going on. But from a lot of bad policy-making decisions that had been made during the Clinton administration, in the last few years of his reign. And I remember that because I was in high school and my parents would talk about it, and they were complaining about Clinton policy changes when Clinton was in office, and they were calling it like long before it even like ever happened. My parents were like, this will lead to a recession. Fannie Mae, I mean, all that kind of stuff changes in all the systems. That was a very Clinton era policy change, which had greatly affected Bush being president during his time. So I don't mean to get all worked up, but people who sit there and
Reagan caught a giant turd in the face from Carter with this loss.
Yeah.
Well, it was Carter. Oh my God!
Dennis is calling again. Didn't you add Dennis?
I did add Dennis. What the hell's wrong with that guy?
Played a giant peanut poop, and it just went right in Reagan's face, and so on and so forth. It's why they're so you can see how connected these presidents are.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You can't just sit there and think that, the world changes as a new president enters. I mean, the butterfly effect is very real. And anyone who thinks, Trump was in office, I mean, besides literally Trump came in and was like, we're going to get rid of this, and was open about it, and things went really well for him.
I'll predict what Dennis's emotional explanation for all of this is going to be. I've lost my train of thought.
But they will inherit like the worst parts of their administration the next. I'm sure we'll find out so much more about the crappy decisions Trump made when the next president comes in, and how the economy is affected, and social economics and things like that. But I don't see a weaker social dynamic between races under Trump than I did under Obama, who totally fueled, I think, racism in America.
Hashtag FemJoy.
Yes, I want to mention FemJoy. The difference between sex for money and sex for free. Sex for money usually costs a lot less. That was Woody Allen.
Mr. Midnight Movies Twitter page is amazing.
I want to thank you guys for loving this. My Twitter page. I have a whole eclectic piece of individuals on there. It's too bad that Twitter basically banned. I think.
By the way, I added all those. You need to go in there and adapt your Twitter page. You need to upgrade that, dude. You need to go in and start adding people and taking out people. People I set up for you. You need to go do your own thing, man. You need to there are so many Twitter people out there that would be willing to get into it with you. So many. And I can't walk you to it. You know the people you want to talk to. Just go add them on Twitter and get those people invested in your conversations.
I think that racism took a solid wrong turn when Barack Obama wouldn't stand up and say shooting white police officers is wrong. When they're like, he's shooting this person because they're black and this and this and this. And despite the facts that came out in all of these cases, you had the black community, they started shooting white police officers strictly because they were white. And they were out there with the Black Lives Matter. They were out there doing that. Despite the facts of these cases, like Trayvon Martin, the facts came out, and these police officers were found not guilty, and they didn't like that choice. So then what happened? They started going out and shooting white police officers. So the white community went, hey, Barack Obama, please tell them you can't just go shooting cops because they're white. Nobody's being shot strictly because they're black. Here are the criminal facts. And he refused to say anything about it. And I think that's when racism took a solid wrong turn, a very pivotal wrong turn in America. But I think it's actually been a lot better under Trump, believe it or not. So, I mean, I think that he's actually bridged a lot of fairness correction going, we're not going to let anybody kill anyone because they're wrong. We're going to say it's wrong on all accounts. And, you're not going to go kill cops because they're white, though. And, I really don't think he takes a personal interest in racial, stuff anyway. I don't think that actually interests him at all. But I think that all this racism talk that's come about, especially when it comes to current events and current topics, came down to that point where Barack Obama very openly turned and was like, I'm not going to tell them not to kill white cops.
Yeah. And with that being said, is there anything else to add? Because I am getting a little bit tired. And, man, I was listening to this, watching this Tulsi, I forget her last name, but
I'm getting tired too, though.
And I think it's a time to end the show on a good note.
I know, it's hard, because I would go toe-to-toe with pretty much anyone politically. I used to have dreams about Michelle Obama and, like, decorating. It's very strange.
In decorating?
Yeah, I used to have dreams where we talk about lunch menus and shit, and then sometimes, I'm sorry about the spraying. I'm sorry, Ruthie. And then sometimes I'd very briefly meet Barack Obama, but mostly it's me and Michelle Obama hanging out. Is that weird? It's a little weird.
Have you ever had dreams about me?
I've had dreams about Mr. Midnight Movie twice now.
What?
Yeah, I've had 2 dreams about being with Mr. Midnight Movie.
Like, what were you, can you describe them at all?
Yeah, I can describe them in detail. We'll talk about it some. Well, one time it was strictly cuddling.
Oh.
And yeah, we were at this restaurant, and I wasn't with you to begin with, but my car was missing, and then I saw you there, and we were in Los Angeles. You're like, well, yeah, let's go to my place. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, let's do that. And like, kids were around, and then we were like, all you wanted to do was cuddle. And I was like, okay, but like, somehow, anyway, we'll talk about this some other time.
Oh shit! It sounds almost like taboo.
Right. A little taboo-ish, except for like it ended up like just cuddling. We were really happy cuddling the first time.
Oh,
the second date was a little bit different. So,
all right, folks, everyone, just cuddle right now.
Cuddle.
Yeah, cuddle.
Cuddle.
No cuckolding, cuddling. All right, folks. I hope you enjoyed the show. I enjoyed it. And you listen to Liz's birthday. She had a birthday show, a special person.
Amazing show. Yes. Amazing.
Yes.
I got a lot of flack for getting ready to do that show. And I kept telling her, I go, no, I don't think you think it's not going to be what you're thinking. I was like, I'm not going to do this to you on your birthday. And I thought about like making jokes and all that. And I go, you know what? We'll still like do it WTF style. But it's her birthday. Let's not take it to a depressing moment in someone's birthday. So it was a really fun show. And the group birthday singing was probably the best part. So
that was great at first, and nothing you do is malicious. I mean, get over yourselves, people. Come on.
Yeah, get over yourself.
I poke fun of myself as just as much as I do anyone else.
Yeah, learn to laugh. For God's sakes, life is short. The big fat retard says, learn to laugh.
All you idiots who complained, you used to laugh. Just remember that. You used to laugh. I've witnessed it. You used to laugh more. Jesus Christ. Check yourselves, people.
Yeah, thank you. Laugh.
Get over it.
With rank, sense of humor is being.
Well, folks, this is
Down syndrome is not a crime.
Individual.
The best show on Blog Talk and the best show on the internet. Shut up. Nobody, and I mean nobody, tackles issues like inflammatory talk. Shut up. And Mr. Midnight Movie. Shut up. And Jewish producer.
Hello, son.
Shut up. We tackle the things that nobody tackles.
Hello, son.
The man's answers.
Hello, son.
Stop walking on eggshells. Shut up.
Hello, son.
Goofy Bone can get off his bloviated fat enchilada hat and start talking about La Raza.
Hello, son.
I'm jacking it. Pink Daddy Joe P. I'm jacking it. Pink Daddy Joe P. Whipping and skipping all day long.
We're making a movie about white guilt. We're going to examine all these facts.